Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Urban Legends video. Alright, another entry here. This one actually related to a suggestion that was given a little while back. I was going to do a video about something about the phenomenon about these gravity hills that happen throughout multiple parts of the US. But in doing my research there, I realized that I came across this other urban legend there in North Carolina, which intrigued me far more, and I'm sure you'll find this very interesting too. It has to do with a very specific spot in North Carolina that is apparently the devil's own what's called tramping ground. It's his own location to walk around, meditate, if you will, try to plan and make sure that whatever he's doing throughout the rest of his existence, he's doing it on this very spot on this earth, at least if you believe this urban legend. So very interesting stuff associated with this legend, and I love it. Again, you know me when it comes to these things, whenever there's a very like absolutely specific location you can visit for this. Nothing riles me up better than knowing you can read about something and then go straight to that location afterward. So it has to do with this. It's the term the devil's tramping ground, and again it's found in North Carolina. So let's go ahead, let's talk about all that info associated with that urban legend here. So what is this urban legend? Well, it's an urban legend that's found if you want to go to that very absolute pinpoint spot. It's known as the Devil's Tramping Ground there by a forest near Harper's Crossroads in an area called Bear Creek there in North Carolina. So if you wanted to go as exact as you can, that's where it is. And you're looking at it right now, in fact. What makes this so interesting is the fact that you can do a radius of about 40 feet, and that'll tell you exactly where you're in or where you're out of this quote-unquote Devil's Tramping Ground. And the best way to pretty much know is because of this. The biggest tie-in for this urban legend is that this ground, for whatever reason, is completely barren of vegetation. Now, not completely in the sense that there's not like one single blade of grass, but it's more in the sense that the entire forest that surrounds it is obviously full of foliage. I mean, you can't spit without hitting foliage left and right to you, but for whatever reason this ground right here is completely barren, or most of it is completely barren of this same vegetation. And so ever since then, throughout the years, throughout the decades, it seems like, I mean, this is something that has gone on at least since the early 1900s. I don't know if it's gone on any earlier than that, so if someone knows more info about that, please post those comments below. But otherwise, since a good number of decades, this has been the folklore of this urban legend. Here's how it goes. The way it goes is that if you go to this location and you spend the night there, then you'll have a good chance of actually coming across the devil himself. And the reasoning for it is this. This is the best way to describe it. There was a guy, John William Hardin, who was a journalist, an editor, an author. He pretty much summed it up completely by stating that at this location, according to some of the natives there from Chatham, if I'm not mistaken, they state that this area, for whatever reason, the devil has selected to walk in circles, because this is him using this area to try to think up of new ways to cause trouble for humanity. You've seen like some cartoons which showcase the characters walking around in circles, hand on their chin, you know, kind of like stroking their goatee or their beard, almost like thinking just pensively about something. And walking in circles is a practice actually that some actors do as well. If you've ever seen some of the behind the scenes stuff, you'll notice that some actors walk around in circles as they're reading their script or as they're memorizing or learning their script. It just, the practice of it just seems to work. So such is the case here with this urban legend. The devil apparently does the very same thing. There, sometimes in the dark of night, the way the story goes, he will tramp around this ground just over and over again, plotting and planning, trying to do what he can to ensure that the bad things of this world continue and that the good things are essentially trampled on, the very same trampling that he's doing on the ground there. And if you're lucky on those nights, quote unquote lucky, then you can see the devil as he does this throughout those nights. No one knows though when he's supposed to actually be there on those nights. There's no like pre-planning of these things. Nothing in terms of like a schedule you can try to keep. Nothing that's routine. But if you go there and you happen to be, I guess, in one of those fortunate situations, keyword being fortunate based on your perspective, then that's when you'll see him there. But if you don't, you still have a chance of seeing some other unusual things. So besides nothing being able to truly explain why the foliage is not growing around there, I have my own reason and I'll explain that here in a minute. But other things that you'll notice there that are out of the ordinary, they're supposed to be objects that disappear within this ring, within this 40-foot ring. So if you leave something there, anything if you want, then something happens to it overnight. You come back the next day and it's gone. Like I guess you could try to test, leaving piles of rocks, or you could try to test leaving garbage, something along those lines. Whatever's the case, if you leave it there, then it's supposed to disappear. Also, you'll hear dogs somewhere in the background, even though around your area you didn't see any dogs, you didn't bring any dogs, but yet there they are somewhere in that area howling around. Also, if you do bring your own dog, this circle is supposed to scare the bejesus out of it. Like it's not something that it wants to go in. It'll absolutely try to make sure, like pushing against its paws almost, that it cannot go in there as well. And then if you want to stretch things out even further, there's the idea that people that go into that circle don't necessarily come out the same afterward. People state that they feel weird, like like something is there with them. There's also the notion that they can hear somebody almost whispering to them. Those souls that are trying to be brave enough, I guess, to stay the whole night awake, something is there that's supposed to be a soothing voice, and then it starts singing to them, and it puts them to sleep. And then when they wake up a few miles away from the circle. No one can, of course, explain how that happens, let alone the voice itself. And then if you take things even further, there's the final idea where sometimes people that go in there don't come out right, in the sense that they later become insane, like something just change them inside out. And so ever since coming out of that circle afterward, then they in turn can no longer stay sane, or they slowly but surely start going insane afterward. And then as far as things outside of the area that people will report on, you can see shadow people, or you can see some form of some things that seem to be within the forest itself. Like you can see these eyes, or you can see these figures that look humanoid that stare back at you, watching you essentially as you're trying to watch outward. And then also, if you go there, some people are reported to disappear, although that's like I was mentioning, like they wake up a few miles away, but in other cases they just completely disappear outright, although that seems to be like something else that's really, really far-fetched. Otherwise there would be a lot more missing reports associated with this location. But yes, it's so popular there in that area that it seems like you can go there, and a lot of people have tested this Devil's Tramping Ground and succeeded, or the closest thing to succeeding, because you'll find actually trash there to this very day. Like people report seeing like a lot of beer cans that are around the area, noticeable signs of, let's say, a campfire, food, trash, whatever's the case. And there's also seems to be graffiti around the area as well, the closest thing to graffiti at least, because there's not really any walls to put it on, but people do put them on the trees, or they put messages or whatever is the case on the trees themselves, so try to just make it like spooky. So more along the lines, I imagine if people go there to this day, because of the popularity of this urban legend, if they go there, they most likely experience unusual activity, but it might be from others that are around that area as well, that are either playing pranks, or they come across there by accident and then just decide out of the blue, because the two of them are meeting but they don't know each other, that they're gonna try to make things even spookier and try to scare each other, in other words. But yes, that's pretty much all the info associated with this urban legend. That ties into my idea too as to why I think the ground is so barren there. It may be because it's just all the attraction that it brings. Whenever that happens in any part of a city where you have a large number of people and a large number of activity, and there's a grassy area, slowly because of all the trampling of the feet around that area, then the grass itself starts fading away until there's nothing left. I think that's most likely the case in this situation, where a lot of people now have stayed on those grounds for so many years, daily, nightly, whatever's the case. When that happens, then just by their very nature, they're taking and keeping, or they're taking away the grass and they're keeping future grass from growing there. And then that's why, in my opinion at least, that's why I think a lot of it remains barren. But why it was barren in the first place, like, because it started from somewhere, when there's nothing there that should have made it barren. That's the true mysterious part, because it had an origin somewhere, and there's no buildings around, there's no activity, nothing that would basically cause this area to not have foliage, not like the rest of the forest that swamps it completely. So that is truly the mysterious part. So that'll be interesting to see if anyone can truly explain that. And as to whether or not you absolutely see the devil within this tramping ground, who knows? You would think that by now, with people having easy access to their phone videos, whatever is the case, like, they could have instant footage, shocking footage of any kind, and stuff would go just absolutely viral. But the fact that nobody has done it yet, or has posted anything like that yet, that is still up for debate. But it's fun to play with, this whole idea that you can go to this very specific spot there, Harper's Crossroads, there in Bear Creek, North Carolina, find this 40-foot circle, and then wonder, is this truly the area where the devil ponders throughout his nightly rituals? That is the fun part, at least, to try to consider. So, all right, everybody, thanks again as always. Take care.